It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 80. Today is the 18th of May, but only until midnight. So we are here. I heard that. We got the whole crew on today. What's up, Bradley?
We need one of those like.
Yeah, just kind of like the sad, maybe the sad horn. Wah, wah, wah. All right, so Chris, how's it going, man?
Excellent. How you doing?
Can't complain. It's finally getting some sun here. It's the middle of May. It's starting to act like spring. So, Hernan, how's Barcelona?
Barcelona is nice. I have the carpet on the wall right here, and it's really nice. We're getting sun over here too. So
you gotta post some more pictures, man. I like seeing the travel pictures.
Yeah, that's definitely something to do.
Cool.
Awesome. Is hanging rugs on the wall a Barcelona thing?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, apparently I came here and it was like that. So
okay,
I'm assuming it is.
That's his temporary sound studio. So.
Got it.
Yeah. Marco, how's it going, man?
I'm still in paradise, man.
Good deal. Good deal. I take it the weather's a little bit better. You're no storms today?
It still rains in the afternoon. I'll get a rainstorm real, but you know, it's the price you pay for the life you live. It's cool.
Awesome. Hey, Bradley, what's up?
What's up, man? I'm trying to multitask and type in on the events page while.
All right. I was about to say we'll keep going. I'll run through some announcements and then we'll get going here pretty quick, everybody. Let's see, real quick. I wanted to let everybody know our mastermind webinar in 2 weeks is coming up. So Mastermind has private webinars every 2 weeks. We're gonna have Lisa Allen back on. She's launching, and I don't want to butcher the name. Bradley, do you remember it? Is it Rank Feeder or is
Rank Feeder, yes.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. So Rank Feeder. So she's gonna come on and be talking about co-citations and some other cool stuff. So. Eventually, we're going to talk to her and see if she's okay with kind of pushing some of that information out. But for now, it's just going to be with the mastermind, and then we'll see what we can work out later. We've got a really cool contest coming up. I'm just going to show you the back of something that somebody could win. Not just somebody. We're going to give away several, and there's going to be some additional prizes, including some memberships to our various courses. That's going to be coming up in the short term, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks once me and Hernan get things hammered out. And then we're on episode 80, so it's a little ways off, but we're going to have fun on episode 100, but episode 104 is going to be kind of the true 2-year anniversary. So we're going to have some fun stuff going on with that. So, you know, obviously it's still a couple months away, but just wanted to let everyone know we're going to be doing something special. So that's it for me. Does anybody else have anything?
As far as announcements, yeah, I got one.
I'm not giving anything away today.
Yeah, nothing free from Marco today. So.
But the contest, by the way, guys, is going to be really cool. Is it a contest or just a sweepstakes, or do we know yet?
Yeah, we're working out the details. That's why we'll tell you more when we have it. I just want to let everybody know to, you know, you'll hear about it. We'll send out an email at least, you know, or mention it on our Hump Day Hangouts. So.
Okay. The only announcement I have is, guys, I just posted on the events page. I'll grab the screen here in just a moment, but there's a article that came out on Real SEO earlier this week, and it's talking about the YouTube's audience reach between the demographics. 18 to 49-year-olds. YouTube is reaching more 18 to 49-year-olds than the top 10 primetime U.S. TV shows, and so the article in itself can be used as a way to upsell your clients on selling them for YouTube ad management. And it's a great article. And so I posted it on the events page there so that you guys can go click on it, save it, whatever, bookmark it. But if you do any client SEO work or you have clients, period, you might want to send them an email with a link and kind of a summary of what this article is and then a link over to this article and kind of pitch them on the importance of taking advantage of YouTube advertising, because it's so dirt cheap, and it's not hard. It's not nearly as difficult to run YouTube ads as it is like Google AdWords, like regular AdWords for Google search. And it's a great way to generate some additional revenue for your own business, as well as get some results for your clients. And so I dropped that link on the page. You know, I've sent it out to mine already, and I've already had 2 of my clients call me up and ask me more to give them more information about YouTube ad management for them. So like I said, you could use it as kind of a way to pitch them a soft pitch by sending them some information that's going to validate the fact that if they're not advertising on YouTube, they're missing out on the younger demographics for their businesses, which I think is pretty pretty amazing that YouTube is actually getting more viewership during prime time TV time than even the top 10 shows are for that demographic. To me, that's pretty incredible. So anyways, I dropped it there. There's also a link underneath of that for Justin Sardi's video ads crash course for anybody that doesn't know how to run YouTube ads. It's a $97 course. Great course. Justin Sardi's the one that taught me how to run YouTube ads. So you can pick that up there. And in fact, any of you that are worried about that don't want to go purchase another $97 course or whatever, what you could do is actually send this article out to your existing client base and see if anybody bites. And if interested in it, then you can purchase the course because you know that you're going to sell them on a YouTube ads campaign anyways, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. All right. Anything else? Or should we get into questions?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Okay, let's do it. Hopefully you guys will find that helpful.
What I meant to say was,
got clients.
Let's get into it. Woo! I'm working on my webinar.
Okay. But yeah, anyways, I had 2 clients come back already and ask me for more information. So, by the way, Wayne, I want to say thanks for that, dude. I'm going to have nightmares. Thanks.
That reminds me of Mimi from the Drew Carey Show. It's been a few years.
And that's actually Bradley demographics. So.
Yeah. Tim says, hey guys, hope you're all doing well. I just want to thank you guys for the weekly hangout real quick. It's been super helpful and very informative. Keep up the good work, guys. You're welcome. I will +1 that. Okay, so my question is about PBNs. Every now and then when I scrape expired domains, I find some with clean backlink profile, clean anchor text profile. Just everything about this domain screams register me, except for the WHOis history. When I check these domains on archive.org, you can clearly see they were re-registered at some point and used as a PBN, or had Chinese, Japanese content on it and had been used for domain parking, or it had been used for domain parking. Let's say I buy these domains and I'm able to re-index them, so no Google penalty. Would you build links from these domains to your branded IFTTT network, or not even do that because these domains are too risky to use in your opinion? Yeah, to build those links from those to your IFTTT network should be fine. What I would recommend doing, personally, I won't buy a lot of those domains. Just if I see that they had been re-registered and used as a PBN at some point, or they got Chinese characters on the Wayback Machine, any of the pages from the Wayback Machine or something like that, then I typically won't use them, only because a lot of the times they won't index because they have some sort of manual penalty, and that's why they were dropped to begin with. Because the person that re-registered them to use as a PBN or for a spam site, the only reason they probably dropped the domain is because it was most likely de-indexed. And so it's going to be difficult for you to get it re-indexed again unless you rebuild it to a previous state and then submit for a re-inclusion or reconsideration request for re-inclusion into the index. But again, that's a lot of additional work that I just will skip all that and just not purchase those domains if I can clearly see that there was some sort of history like that, spam history. But that said, I've also purchased domains that have no indication of spam history, and then I buy them and I register, or I put a site on them or rebuild the Wayback from the archive.org, the HTML pages, and then when I submit it to Search Console, it's already it's received a manual spam action penalty, so it's been de-indexed. And so what I'm saying is sometimes when you're buying domains, if I can verify that there was a history of spam at some point, I would generally just not purchase it altogether. But that said, sometimes even the cleanest of domains will have a penalty, and you won't know it until after you purchase it. But as far as if you're going to if you are able to get it re-indexed, then yeah, there's no reason you can't use it. I just wouldn't link it directly to my money site just because of the history. I would link it to a first-tier property instead. Okay. Anybody else want to add to that, or can we move on?
No, yeah, I just wanted to say real quick that you will find a ton of domain that they were used, as you were saying, as PBNs before, but Google really went down, chasing those domains. So you will find beautiful domains that they are the index. That's why that's exactly what you were saying. I had the experience that adding a persona and registering that domain, and if they look really good, and if you add an IFTTT network to them, you make them look legit, like real legit. Usually, most of the times you will get that domain back, like re-indexed, but you need to take that extra work to make it appear not as a PBN anymore. So
yeah. Yeah, and I've only got about a 60% success rate on getting domains that had manual spam actions reconsidered, or when I've submitted a reconsideration request, I've only had about a 60% success rate on that. So to me, it's more work than it's worth. So I just try to avoid them. Although, like I said, there's sometimes I'll buy domains that there's no indication at all that they were ever spammed, and once they're re-registered, they're automatically in penalty, and that's like, there's nothing you can do at that point except make the attempt to have it re-indexed, right? Otherwise, you just abandon it and move on to the next one, which I've done that as well.
Yep.
James says, "Hey y'all, I have a lead gen site for home service contractor that started climbing the rankings from 0 listings to now on page 3 to 5 for multiple keywords in a city with a population of nearly 1 million. Good job, James. I've achieved this by purchasing your branded IFTTT network setup, and I post to my blog at least once per week. Going great so far. I'm about to purchase Blue Chip Backlinks and start building out a private link network and slowly dripping highly relevant links to my site. Bradley, what link velocity do you suggest for this type of backlinking?" Well, there's a couple things I would say. Obviously, it's going to depend. It always depends. That's my standard answer for any SEO question, is it depends. However, I can give you some guidelines or parameters that based on like what I do. Number one is go look at the competitors, like who you're competing against, and take a look at their backlink profile and get an idea. Because remember, a lot of local sites, guys, don't typically. It depends on the niche and your city and everything else, but a lot of them don't have a boatload of backlinks. So you want to you've got to take a look at the overall backlink profile of your top the top ranking sites, and then kind of get an idea of how many links you think you're going to need, right, based on those other numbers, and then you want to start building them out in a way to where you're not flat. I mean, like for example, you wouldn't want to build 30 links in a week, like 30 backlinks from a private link network in a week to your site, unless you were in, were competing with sites that had hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of links, right? In that case, you might be able to get away with it. But so, if your competitors are only dealing with 100 backlinks or 80 backlinks or 120 backlinks, somewhere around there, then you might want to start going with 2, 3, 4 links per week. But I would take it really slow in the beginning, because if you're buying Blue Chip Backlinks, if you're buying domains from Blue Chip Backlinks that are really relevant and have really good metrics, you're not going to need that many links for you to get some significant results. So I would start off with 2 or 3 links, maybe right off the bat. Just make sure you're not hitting the same anchor text as you want to have like a brand link, a naked URL, and then perhaps a keyword link. And then give it some time and wait. And you've got to be patient when you start building links like this, because when you build the links, you got to wait a couple weeks, monitor the results, then go add a couple more links. You don't want to go too fast, because then it will look unnatural. So you just have to be patient, and it kind of sucks. But what I find is that a lot of times, especially when you're using really high quality domains that you're purchasing, is that it ends up taking a lot less than you think it will, for the most part, for you to be able to get the kind of results, as long as you're buying good domains when you do it. You'll find out that even though the waiting sucks because you got to be slow, you can still end up getting the I'm sorry, I got distracted by all that noise.
Sorry about the boings.
No worries. Anyways, if you have really high quality domains, you might think, okay, it's going to take me 20 backlinks that I'm going to have to purchase these domains and rebuild these sites, but you end up being able to achieve the results with only 12 backlinks. Because you were patient and you waited, and those actually took effect. And so that's what's good about that is then you have some, let's say you had already purchased 20 domains, or that was your intent originally. Now you've got essentially 8 domains left in the budget for backup or for reinforcements when you need it, if that makes sense. So you don't want to like, remember guys, I always talk about using the bare minimum to rank stuff so that you always have, you know, reserves. You always have stuff left in reserve in case you need it. So anyways, hopefully that makes sense. You want to add to that at all, Hernan, or anybody?
No, I think that you nailed it. Sorry, Marco, but the anchor text is one of the most important points to control right now. So I think you explained that real good. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would start with just a brand and a URL anchor, and then probably, you know, one like keyword anchor of some sort first, just to kind of like prime your site, because you're going to be pushing some juice into it, some decent equity into it from those 3 links, and then from there you can start using, you know, some variations of the keywords and things like that in order to start pushing that relevancy. Okay. Earl says, am I making a rookie mistake? On posts for clients, I tend to put in 2 links to their sites. One is from a rotating list of keywords we want to rank for, and I also include one branded link to their company name. Then they are shared via IFTTT to our networks. Since I'm asking a basic question, let me continue with, am I making a mistake by rotating keywords too much? Some clients have quite a few, or should I be hammering 1 to 3 main ones until they stick? No, keep rotating, Earl. We post at most once a week, sometimes only once to twice a month, and already have something of an established presence. Yeah, I would still just keep rotating. That's much more natural. It's going to give you an overall diversified anchor text profile, which is going to be better for your site long term. So I wouldn't start hammering away on 1 to 3 terms. That could get you into trouble.
Yeah, in fact, I think that one of the best way to go in these cases is to not use like the same keywords twice. Linking to an internal page. You know, let's say that you want to rank for red juice, you will use different variations, like every time you're posting to that particular page, as you would find naturally online. You know, because it's really hard that two people will link, you know, using the exact same anchor text. So you can use variations in LSI for the different links as well. That usually works really well. So if you're if you're like scheduling 10 posts and all of them, you know, you want to link them, all of them to the same page, which, you know, you could do if you drip feed them over the next 3 months or something, you can use different anchor text like every time. So you have 10 different anchor texts, but variations of the same anchor text. So that usually works well in my cases.
Cool. Okay, Mark says, hey guys, got a question. When you're building lead gen sites, do you prefer a more national type authority site or a more local, county, or even citywide type site? Thanks. I usually do like regional type sites. I've been a bit more ambitious in the past and wanted to go after national, type sites, but those projects always end up petering out at some point. And like I might monetize some of those projects, but they only scale to a certain point, and that may just be because I lost interest in the project. You know what I mean? But my point is, like the national type sites, there's a lot to consider with those sites ahead of time. You've got to try to think, because you got to plan for those long terms, because those are massive, massive sites, and it's going to take you a lot of work to build those, first of all, but second of all, to maintain them, you've got to be able to scale your infrastructure and all that. So personally, I like to stick with either city sites or regional sites. A few times I've done some statewide sites for clients that cater to an entire state, but for the most part I stick with more like regional. So there might be like for example, Northern Virginia. It's an area that has multiple counties right outside of Washington D.C. and so like most of my clients, they service all of the Northern Virginia area. So we end up siloing their sites out using like counties and in cities. And that sort of thing. So hopefully that makes sense. But I prefer more regional type sites personally, just because they're a bit easier to manage than a big site. Although it's really up to you.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense to kind of attack a project like that, because that way, when you can rank, locally or regionally, it's usually easier than to rank for national terms, or to rank for 50 different states or something like that. So you will actually end up making more money initially, or making some money initially that you can then reinvest in the project to keep growing it, as you were saying, scaling, and that usually keeps the motivation strong. You know what I mean? Yeah. Otherwise, you're planning for the long term, and you have to keep the fire going. Even like 1 year and you're still not seeing results, which is normal case scenario when you're planning for a big national sites. So
That's right.
Also, if I can just add this, national sites usually have regional offices. And the one thing that most people fail to do when they're going after a national site is to establish that trust and transparency of having one central office, and then, you know, whether it's a franchise or whether it's regional offices extending, you know, they have a lot of trouble because then you're dealing with multiple locations, and how do I get maps for multiple locations? And that's part of the process. It's something that you have to think about, and you have to figure out how you're going to do that.
Cool. Okay, let's see. Rick Dawes says, hello, having difficulty explaining the concept and benefits of semantic web and IFTTT networks succinctly. I'd like to be able to discuss the SEO and traffic benefits without being too wordy or nerdy. Can you give examples of elevator pitches? Yeah, well, because Rick, the thing is if you're trying to explain semantic web, as soon as you say semantic web, your client's eyes, I guarantee you, gloss over, and like they're daydreaming at that point because they have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So all you need to do when you're talking to a potential, you know, a client or a prospect or whatever about this is just talk about the benefits of you know, content marketing on a regular basis and updating social media, because that's something that they can understand, and they most likely already are aware of the fact that they should be marketing and producing content and updating social media regularly, and they're probably not. At least that's my experience with the type of businesses that I deal with, is they already know that they're supposed to be doing this stuff, but they don't. And part of the reason why they don't is they don't know how, or they think it's too difficult, or they've you know, they don't know of they don't know what we know about how we can set it all up and automate it. So I just talk about the benefits of having up regular content that's relevant to their industry and that their audience would like to, you know, potentially like to consume, that will also have the SEO benefit and the updating of the social media benefit as well. So I talk about the benefits that they're going to receive, and I try to dumb it down to where it's not technical at all, because as soon as you start mentioning technical terms, you're going to lose your audience. You're going to lose that prospect. If that makes sense.
Want to hear my pitch?
Sure.
I'm going to positively affect your bottom line. How I do that is up to me. If I don't do it, you don't pay me. Period. I mean, it's really that simple. When you can bring it down to those terms where they can see, okay, so he's going to make me money. And if he doesn't make me money, then I can get rid of him. But if he does make me money, I want to keep it. You let them do all the thinking. You don't have to do the thinking for them. Deliver the pitch that way, man. And it's a whole lot easier dealing with the client, because that way you're dealing in terms that they understand money. Everyone understands money. So it's just how you come across in delivering that message of how you can make them money.
And one of the things that I like to ask questions when I'm pitching. I like to ask the clients questions and kind of lead them into thinking that it's their own decision, right? So, like for example, I'll say, Mr. Business Owner, I'm sure you're aware of the fact that you should probably be marketing on social media and updating and interacting on a regular basis. Am I right? No. Yes. Yeah. Well, is there any reason why, what does your marketing situation look like right now? Like, what are you doing for social media marketing? And are you active on Twitter and Facebook and blah blah blah? And I let them start to tell me how poor their marketing is. A lot of it, sometimes they'll say, occasionally I put a Facebook post up and blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, well, yeah, but can you really expect that to produce any results if you're not active on a regular basis and updating content that's timely and blah, blah, blah. And so by just asking them to reveal what they're currently doing, it forces them to realize through them telling me what they're doing that they have a subpar marketing campaign. Like their marketing is not where it should be. And so it makes the sale so much easier. And that's why, again, I don't talk about the technical stuff. I just talk about the things that they probably already know they should be doing, that they're probably not doing really well, and I let them tell me about how poorly they're doing it. And then that's when I can very easily say, well, I can show, I can do this, I can do that, I can update your content. We can provide the content marketing services for you so you don't have to do a damn thing. All that kind of stuff. And that's usually where the sale comes from.
Yeah, I was thinking too, I like the way Bradley started off with that about going in, basically getting the yeses, but doing mini closes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want this? Yes, of course. I mean, frame this correctly. But what do you want? Is this what you want? Is this how you want to beat your competition? Get them to be agreeing with you, and then go in and think of it just from a closing standpoint, even though you're just telling them about something.
Yeah.
You know, like you have two choices. You know, do you want to do this and be future-proofed, or do you want to do this and fall behind? I mean, that's like, you know, one option for closing. You know, you have, you know, excuses, or you can move forward, you know, and if you have excuses today, that's fine, and you don't want to do it, you know, that's great. And then you're going to have to make your own elevator pitch, because nothing we're going to say is going to work exactly for your business. So I would create, you know, the one paragraph thing you pitch people, and then if they say, okay, I want more details, that's when I would have a PDF or something ready to go and be like, I'll send it over to you, you can read through it, you know, kill them with details. You know, don't sit there and tell them all about it. I mean, I don't know why anybody would do that, but you need to tell them clearly what the benefits are, and then kind of do a closing on it. Like, you know, here's your two choices. You can either be future-proofed and move forward ahead of your competition, or not. You know, again, that's just one. And then, you know, back it up and say, hey, I'll send you this PDF I wrote that explains this type of stuff.
Yeah, and then you get them on your email list anyways, because now they're warm leads, and you can send them autoresponders to sell them down the road if they don't purchase right away.
Yep.
So, okay, our Bacon, he says, Bradley, you often recommend testing whenever you try something different. Can you give some suggestions on the best ways to test the effectiveness of new links? Well, no, I mean, like, I don't test new links as far as you can do it. You can, like, for example, if you were to purchase an expired domain, rebuild the old content on it, it had great metrics, blah blah blah. You could poke somebody else's site with it, or a Web 2 of your, you know, a Web 2 site or something like that if you want. In fact, Terry Kyle, I even did a short training. I think it's on his blog, so I think it's available for anybody. But that where he talks about doing that, buying an expired domain that has good metrics, topically relevant to what it is that you're going to ultimately be linking to. Find somebody else in that industry for, you know, or another similar type site or whatever that is back on like page 2 or 3 or something like that, page 3, and then point the link there with just a redirect, by the way. You don't even have to rebuild the old site. You can just do a redirect to that site, that page that's on like page 3 or whatever like that of Google search results, and just monitor it, see if it jumps. It was back on page 3, so it's not going to hurt. And then if it does jump, and you get, you know, let's say it jumps from page 3 to position 14, you know that link had a positive effect on it. And then at that point, you can remove the redirect and redirect to your own site. Or what I would suggest doing is at that point rebuild the domain, and then just put a link from that domain over to your money site, so that you can poke other people's sites. They don't have to be your own. But if you already have some digital assets in that particular industry that are like Web 2s or whatever, you can always test them on those first. Personally, I don't do it. Like, I don't do all that because it's just too much time and I'm too impatient. So what I do is just purchase the domains, rebuild the sites, and then put a link to my site and monitor the site that that I link to, which is my money site, and see what kind of effect or changes it had. Sometimes it doesn't have any effect. I got to be honest, but sometimes I get significant jumps just from one link. So, but you can definitely poke other people's properties. They don't have to be your own. Or you could set up, like I said, some Web 2s or something like that if you don't want to. But, you know, again, if you just build it and point it to your money site, like if you're already on, you know, if you're already ranking really well and you're worried about it potentially causing harm, then yeah, go ahead and test on other sites. But if you're not ranking yet, anyways, what harm is it going to do to point it directly at your money site and then monitor the results? And if it had, you know, if it didn't help at all, or it actually caused it to, you know, drop a couple spots, which it may, because that's the typical Google dance, guys. Remember, that's what I was talking about earlier when he was Tim or James was asking about link velocity. Is you don't want to go too fast. So if you point a link at your site, and it could drop 2-3 spots right after pointing a link to it, but give it some time, give it a couple weeks, because it's just doing the normal Google dance at that point. So that one link might have made it drop 2 or 3 spots, but in 2 weeks' time it could be positive 5 spots. So you got to give it a little bit of time, and that's why, like, personally, I don't test on other people. You know, like, I don't do that testing the new links, just because it takes too much time for me, and I'm too impatient. So, Randy says, if I build links to a non-canonical URL, will all that link juice be automatically transferred by Google to the canonical page, and the canonical page will rank well, but the non-canonical will never be found in the search engine results? Bingo, Randy. and I'm going to move right on to the next question because that's going to open up a whole lot of questions. But you're right on target. You're right on target, buddy. That's exactly what would happen. Chris says, and we talk about that in the mastermind. We've done training on that specifically, how to do that very strategically. Chris says, if you were starting a new campaign for generating leads for a new client, let's say in something like home remodeling, what would be your starting strategy in a nutshell? Build a two-tiered network around a lead gen website and branded YouTube channel? No, as I don't put two-tiered networks around websites, only YouTube channels. But I'll tell you just a moment. Also, do you have a product that best covers lead gen fulfillment plus sales? Probably the only thing that we would have that, like inside of the masterclass, we talk about a lot of lead gen stuff, and we set up a lead gen site and how to find the service providers and all that kind of stuff. That's all available inside the masterclass, Chris. But as far as what I would be doing, again, it's exactly what I did in the masterclass. We took a brand new lead gen site that I started the campaign from scratch. It was part of the masterclass. It spanned about, I don't know, what, 6 or 8 weeks? I'd say, yeah, 6 or 8 weeks is how much we covered that. And it was brand new. We bought a brand new domain. We registered it. We built a brand new WordPress site, brand new IFTTT network, started posting content, 2 or 3 posts per week, ordered a citation pack, built the Google Plus local listing. We bought a P.O. box and used the street address option, so we had a physical location and address. Then we verified the Google Maps listing, and just did exactly what my normal launch strategy is for any sort of lead gen site, and it was all covered in the masterclass. But very simply, I mean, it's just you find the niche first. That's where you're going to spend most of your time up front, trying to identify and find a profitable, first of all, a profitable industry to build lead gen sites in. But number 2 is try to find low-hanging fruit, the easy ones to rank for, guys, so that you're not beating yourself up over months trying to rank a stupid site that may or may not be very profitable for you. Most likely, if you've done your research correctly, you've selected the proper industry, you're going to make money. But I like to find the easy stuff. And for example, in the masterclass, the city that I had selected, it is a growing city. It's growing very, very rapidly, but it's small. And it's the competition level wasn't real high yet, and it was in the home remodeling industry, by the way. It was the exact same industry you just mentioned, but I was able to rank it to in the 3-pack for 4 out of my 5 keyword phrases in the 8 weeks, starting brand new with a brand new site, brand new everything, and it generates me money. So that's what I prefer, going after the low-hanging fruit guys instead of going after like the big cities. Start generating some revenue, build some momentum from having success. One success begets more. Success begets success. So you start to having little successes, they'll start to snowball, and you can start going after the heavier or the more difficult terms, the bigger cities, that kind of thing. Okay, but really, it's a masterclass. We covered that in depth. I'd recommend that you come join us and check it out over there. God, that photo is awful. I'm going to scroll up just to get it off the screen. Chris Chapman says, the Yoast SEO plugin adds some markup in site header. Yes, it does. If I want to add JSON LD markup manually, do I remove the small amount of Yoast markup or leave it? Well, if you clear the fields inside the Yoast plugin, the settings, like where you add in your social media URLs and all that kind of stuff, then it should clear the code anyways. But I mean, other than going in and editing the plugin files, which I don't recommend doing, especially Yoast, because Yoast updates so damn much. The moment it updates, it's going to rewrite the code. It's going to overwrite your edits anyways. So I don't recommend that you ever edit the WordPress, or excuse me, the plugin files. So if you just clear the fields and you're going to add your own JSON LD, it should be okay. All right. Can the JSON LD markup be in the site-wide header, including all the local data and the same as attributes? Yes. I thought I heard the local markup information should only be on pages that is also on the page. No, that's not true. You can put it in the header. In fact, that's typically what you're going to do if it's a normal type website. If it's a site that has multiple locations, physical locations attached to the one site, then you wouldn't want a site-wide JSON LD markup, because you would have individual, like specific location pages, and you would want the JSON LD markup for that location only on that location page, right? If you had something in the header, then you'd have conflicting local business data markups, because you'd have two, right? You'd have one for the site-wide address, and then you'd have one for the location. So for multi-location properties, you're going to want to put them on only those pages. In fact, you could do that like silo-wide if you had siloed your site. There's ways to do that too. But for most businesses, you're going to just do site-wide, and that would be go in the header. If you're using JSON LD markup, obviously. All right, I have 15 same as attributes in the markup. Is that too many? Thank you. No, I don't. I mean, if they're all the strong properties and semantic hubs and stuff like that, no, it should be fine. Oh, that's awful. Thanks a lot, Wayne. Dana says, first off, thanks to Marco for a great webinar on Monday. Awesome stuff. Question, what are your thoughts on creating long URLs that match long titles word for word when we create new pages and posts? I noticed the WHOis plugin now takes long titles and truncates the URLs to just a few basic words from the title when new pages posts are created. Which is preferred method these days? I'm going to say the shorter URLs. I personally like shorter URLs, and I think there's been some testing on that, or like some surveys like Search Metrics and Moz and stuff like that test that, and oftentimes the shorter URLs, there's a correlation between shorter URLs and higher rankings. That doesn't mean that that's the case, like that's not proof, but there's a correlation across large sets of sites that they've monitored or measured, right? But personally, as far as I'm concerned, like what WHOis does is just removes the stop words now, like, you know, and, of, the, it, you know, those kind of stupid stop words. But I don't mind. I don't care if it shortens the URL, because sometimes when you have a long post title, the URL is stupid long anyways. You know.
Yeah. And that shorter URLs are easier to remember, you know, from your audience. So they are also easier to link to. I mean, if you think about it, it would make more sense that a shorter URL will have more links or more visitors just because it's a shorter URL. So instead of having the entire title, I usually go for the keyword maybe, or, you know, something shorter, because it's usually easier for the visitor to go that way, you know. So
yeah. Daniel says we hang rugs on walls in Russia too. Cool. So it's Spain and Russia. John, it's posted in the mastermind, buddy. The replay of the webinar we did on Monday, it's posted in the mastermind. So I believe it's in the training updates section. So go check on it. You'll see it. I just posted it, I think Monday evening. So. Doss says, oh cool, we're almost done. This is perfect, guys. We might wrap up a couple minutes early. Doss says, is it worth the hassle of sorting through the incoming crap to keep the trackbacks and pingbacks on your money site from your own syndication? No, I just turn that crap off. In fact, for the most part, well, it depends on what it is that you're doing, but for most of the sites that I manage, I put the disable comments plugin on, which removes that altogether anyways. Because if we're going to allow comments on any one of our websites, we usually put in something like Discuss plugin, like, you know, the Discuss plugin, or some sort of social media commenting plugin, so that WordPress comments suck, guys. I mean, it's terrible, you know. And those trackbacks and pingbacks, that's a bunch of crap. It's a waste of time. So I just use the disable comments plugin and just completely remove WordPress commenting function from WordPress altogether. Okay. I just ignore all that stuff. Ryan says, do you guys ever use site-wide links, usually branded, I am guessing? For example, I have a client site with 20,000 plus pages. Would a site-wide branded anchor help, or does that power diminish over that many pages? Yeah, Ryan, I would just no-follow it, and yeah, it absolutely diminishes. It used to be, I don't know if it's changed, but I just assume that it's still the same, is that if you had multiple links from the same domain, that Google's only going to count like the top 5 links from that site, whatever it deems are the most beneficial or whatever, to completely are ignored, if that makes sense. So like if you get 20,000 links from one site, then those are absolutely site-wide links, and so I would first of all no follow it. But even if you, I certainly wouldn't do follow it, because that can get you into trouble. But as far as I know, at least it was this way a couple years ago. It may have changed, and I haven't done any recent testing on this, guys, to prove it one way or the other, so don't quote me on it. but it could be. It used to be where I think 5 links counted, and anything beyond that was just completely ignored. Do you have any data to back that up, or Hernan?
No, we will need to retest that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was around that.
Yeah.
Around 5. We will need to test back, because that was like last thing we knew, you know, 5 links.
2014, I remember it. That's because
Yeah.
that's when I did the test. So it's been a couple of years, but I just assume it's the same. Like site-wide links, and anytime I know that I'm going to get a site-wide link, I know follow it anyways. So, liking Blue Chip Backlinks so far, I feel a great strategy is just to register scraped domains, redirect from registrar to an IFTTT property, and move on to the next one. Can you share some of the ways you guys are using these domains? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, Ryan. Like, if I can get sites that are really topically relevant to what I'm going to be linking to, then I'll rebuild those sites, and then with the archive.org downloads. So I'll rebuild them as HTML sites, and then I'll hack a link into the first page, the index.html page, and pointing to my money site. But if they're questionable or they're not 100% relevant to what I'm going to be linking to, but they have the topical relevancy. So the proper topical trust flow category. So when you guys searching domains, if you're using Majestic, you're going to see that the very first topical trust flow category that they show in that middle section where they show topical trust flow and in the numbers, that's what they call topical trust flow category 0. That's the one that's given the most weight, right? So that domain is weighted or leaning towards that particular category more than any of the other ones. And so a lot of the times, like if I were to, for example, if I wanted to build a tree and I was looking for the business construction and the business/construction and maintenance category is my top topical trust flow category for the domains that I'm purchasing, I might find plenty of them in the plumbing niche and the HVAC niche, but not a lot in the tree service niche. But it's the same topical trust flow category that I'm going after, but the domains that I was so if I purchased a plumbing domain, an expired plumbing domain that had high trust flow metrics with the business/construction and maintenance as my top level topical trust flow category, then it still is a powerful, valuable link to me, but I don't want to link from my plumbing site directly to my money site. Don't get me wrong, I've done it, and I still do it when I'm lazy. But I would rather take that and redirect that URL, either rebuild the domain and still and point a link to a tier 1 property instead of direct to my money site, because now I can actually push or inject that topical relevancy into the link, because I'm taking a plumbing site link, pointing it to a tier 1 property that's about tree services, that's then linking to my tree service site, and so the link from the tree service tier 1 property is going to inject relevancy from the tree service content over through that link to my money site, if that makes sense. So my point is yeah, I mean, like if I've got really topical trust flow category matches and the topical relevancy of the domain that I'm purchasing matches what I'm going to be linking to for my money site, then I will go ahead and build direct links to my money site. If it doesn't, but it's the proper topical trust flow category, then I will use a buffer site, which is typically going to be one of my tier 1 properties. Okay, and by the way, if you have PBNs, like remember, you can do to boost this. Think about this, Ryan. You can find a domain that is topically relevant to your domain, your money site. Rebuild that domain, right? Put a link on it from the home page over to your money site, and then find a bunch of other domains that are in the same topical trust flow category but may not be 100% relevant. Purchase them and just do 301 redirects, registrar redirects, or htaccess redirects, or even cPanel redirects. You can do that too, to the PBN site that you just built, the first domain that you purchased for link building. Does that make sense? So you can basically boost the hell out of that one, because like for example with the tree service industry, a lot of the tree service sites, it's difficult to find good expired domains in that niche. So, but I find a lot in the business/construction and maintenance niche. But it's like, so what I'll do is that occasionally when I find a landscaping site or a tree service domain that I can purchase then I'll point that to one of my tree service sites, and then I'll take a bunch of the plumbing sites and HVAC sites and roofer sites and stuff like that and point them at that one domain. So I'm basically powering it up, but I'm not pointing it direct to my money site because the topical relevancy wasn't there. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Great question, by the way, Ryan. Great question. Adam's yelling at me in Slack. So Earl says, have you checked out Lisa Allen's RSS Authority Sniper? Yeah, that's what we're going to have her on about, Earl. And on June 2nd in the Mastermind, we're going to have her on. We might end up cutting out her the webinar with her from the Mastermind and making that publicly available. We probably will, because she's going to be talking about RSS Authority Sniper 2.0 and Rank Feeder, and they're both really, really good products. So if you can wait a couple weeks, we're going to have her on. But yeah, it's great. It's a good product. Randy says, can you show that in your Majestic account? Well, we've got to go, but let me pull up one thing real quick. We'll go through this very quickly, I promise. Let's look up, let's just go to Twitter. Right here. This is what I'm talking about. So, for most of the stuff that I work in, guys, I work in, a lot of the clients that I work do SEO stuff for, and my lead gen sites are all in the home services industry. So it's business with the subcategory of construction and maintenance. So these are your topical trust flow categories in here. So you can see business, construction, and maintenance. This is the category that I typically am looking for when I'm buying domains, because I can use them for pretty much all of my money sites, if that makes sense. And so whatever you see right here in this first position, this is what they call topical trust flow category 0. If you were to download a backlink report, then the way that they sort it in the CSV file, it's always going to show you topical trust flow category 0. That's going to be first, and that's going to be this number here with the category, and so that's going to be the one that it's weighted the most. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. Masterclass starts.
If I can just add a little bit on this topical trust flow, you can manufacture your own. You don't have to rely on Majestic metrics. Go and manufacture your own, because as long as everything you're doing is themed and relevant and topical, and you're posting regularly, you can build up your own topical trust flow in your niche. I mean, we've shown that in our WHOis Academy, how you can do that.
Boom, boom.
Boom.
Awesome.
Okay, guys, thanks. Masterclass starts in about 10 minutes, guys. We'll see you all over there. Those of you that are in Masterclass, if you're not, well, come join.
Yeah, and we got some good stuff for Masterclass today. What are you talking about, Bradley?
Oh, yeah. We should tease that a little bit, shouldn't we?
Hell yeah.
We're updating the crowd search training, although that's probably going to be made public as well. But I'm going to be going through a whole other, the last time we did crowd search training, a webinar about it was over a year ago, I believe. And so I'm redoing it. A lot of stuff's changed since then. So today we're going to do an actual formal training on how to use crowd search. So
cool. Awesome product.
Yep. Okay, guys. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Hasta luego.